Hello, today I'd like to talk to you about artificial intelligence, the danger of artificial intelligence, and who we really are. Apparently, we are running the risk of creating super intelligent computers that will outthink, outsmart, outlive, and eventually destroy us. It's funny that we should credit intelligence with a destructive urge, since this is an ancient anxiety. After all, what is Frankenstein's monster but a computer that went berserk? What is Prometheus's myth but a dread of what will happen if we seize control of the forces of creation? Man must remember his lowly place in the order of things and not usurp divinity. Be that as it may, I do believe that the talk of the dangers of AI is premature and will stay premature whilst we reason that intelligence should mean more than simply sifting through information. That means if we mean that intelligence is supposed to be something like the ability of making art, transposing feeling into sound, as Schubert did to express the sadness of existence, or to make thought palpable through colour, as did Rembrandt in his work, or in Shelley's words, to new create. Whilst we consider that intelligence is something along those lines, then it is not in our gift to make it artificial. Intelligence is something that entails the subtlest interrelation of thought and emotion, touch and taste, judgment and intuition, or even morality and imagination, to go no further than that. It is not something that we have ever come close to explaining to ourselves, and a mystery that we do not comprehend. We cannot begin to bequeath to a machine that we put together on a conveyor belt. The idea that if we feed a machine enough lines of literature, it will be able to write its own Iliad is preposterous. Give gibberish a million years of association, it will remain nothing but gibberish. Amid all this heated talk of super-intelligent computers, I myself am being threatened with prosecution for not possessing a TV license. I do actually possess a TV license. And in fact, any human being I can get at the end of a telephone line in the licensing office would agree that I do indeed have a TV license. I have the paper to prove that I own one, and the people in the licensing office also have paper to confirm this. The one person, if I can call it that, who doesn't accept that I have a TV license is the computer. And that's because it has a different version of the address at which I live. I live in flat number something, something, something street. The computer has down in its system that I live simply in something, something street. There's no mention of a flat. There is nothing that we can say to the computer, no extra information that we can feed into it, nothing that will persuade it that these two addresses are indeed one and the same, and that the license it claims I haven't paid for, I actually have. Computer obduracy sometimes is the stuff of comedy. All you have to do is change a digit, change an expression, change the layout or the format, and the computer will go into a blind panic. Then it will start to sulk, and then it will refuse to help you altogether. Now, if this experience of being knocked back by a computer is anything to go by, It simply proves this, that far from possessing the frightening intelligence that we all think it does have, a computer is simply an inflexible dolt. If we capitulate to this moronic inflexibility, then we are indeed making part of the prophecy that computers will take over the world come true. We are going to let them call the shots. But all of this doesn't mean that computers can be super intelligent. It doesn't even make them smart. What's actually happening every time we allow a computer to tell us what to buy, simply to let it then tell us that we can't buy it because we don't exist, is to become simply part of a robotic nature of tech. We're simply becoming part of robotic nature. And we mustn't confuse this with intelligence. Because if we allow the nerds and the computer makers of this world to persuade us that computers are indeed super intelligent, then that simply means that we ourselves are becoming robotic consumers with robotic desires to eat and think and dress like one another. This is something that I've noticed everywhere in people's eyes. The same sad, zombie look of motiveless avidity, fed by algorithm. Case in point, close to where I live, there is a cafe. It calls itself a breakfast club. Now, partly because I don't feel clubbable in the morning, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't choose to go there, I haven't actually been inside this cafe. But I think one of the things that puts me off the most is the idea of having to queue in all weathers simply to get a table. Those who are queuing in front of this cafe are all wearing identical anoraks and trainers. They could be foreign students. They might have read about this breakfast club on some app that says it's the cheapest place to eat breakfast in London. But then around where I live, there are countless cheap breakfast places. I mean, how much more can you charge for a plate of baked beans? And if anything else, is a plate of baked beans really something to justify waiting in the rain and whilst you're inhaling car fumes and being run off the pavement by bicycles? No. I think the answer is not the quality of the breakfast. That has nothing to do with waiting outside this cafe. What's really important is for the people going there to be able to say that they have actually been there. That means that what's really important is to take a selfie of yourself whilst you're waiting, then once you've got a table, and a selfie of yourself once you've left. And who are these selfies for? Well, it's for the next cohort of people who are going to be queuing next. Robot says hello. The Breakfast Club is not the only mystery queue in my neighbourhood. There is also a t-shirt and skateboard shop, which appears to have no stock and which you would never know sold t-shirts and skateboards if you didn't actually ask somebody who was queuing up, not just in front of the shop outside, but also on the opposite pavement to the shop as well. In fact, I think soon the skateboard queue is going to merge with the breakfast queue, and you won't know what you're really queuing for until you've actually got it in your hand. A plate of baked beans served up on a skateboard, perhaps. There are security men that are pacifying the queues as people wait, and these, I suppose, could be equated to the new orderlies of a robot state. I've noticed that we have teams of security men migrating from craze to craze as required. Last year, for example, I saw a team of security guards outside Abercrombie and Fitch. This year, it appears that they are concentrating their efforts around the new Lego store that has opened in Leicester Square. Lego. Yes, Lego. I myself was never much of a Lego person. I preferred Meccano. It made me feel more like an engineer. Lego in my mind was more for people who wanted to build pretty houses and things like that. But I did sometimes buy the odd box of Lego for other people's children over the years. Going to buy Lego was a pretty straightforward and simple affair. You went into a toy shop, saw big and small boxes of brightly coloured bricks, which is Lego, and you made your way to the till to buy a box. Lego had no cachet. The only excitement associated with Lego was if your baby happened to swallow a piece. But today, if you want to get a box of Lego, especially in the store in Leicester Square, you have to queue without complaint for hours in all sorts of weather simply to get inside the store. And then it's like a rugby scrum to try and get to the till. In an area close to Leicester Square in Soho, I also saw another incident involving a crowd queuing outside a shop. In that case, it was selling bubble wrap. No, I don't mean the bubble wrap that you use to protect skateboards in the post. I'm talking about a new dessert. It was bubble wrap as in a wet dessert in a box. Young people are already hailing it as being instantly Instagrammable, but for me it's simply indescribable. The people I quizzed in the queue outside the shop said that they had been waiting for a very long time, in fact such a long time that some of them had even forgotten what they were queuing for. What does surprise me, however, is that people always seem to know where and when to queue for these new crazes. It appears that they get the information from their smartphones or their laptops. I wonder if they would come in such hordes if a shop was selling individual identities. Computer says queues, computer says buy, computer says be yourself. Perhaps individualism is going to be the next robotic craze. Thank you.